Did you see that thread on TikTok? So basically this girl, she posted like 20-year-olds ask questions, 30-year-olds answer. So she did one for girls and one for guys. And people are like responding and it's like so cute.
Emotional.
It's some of it's emotional, some of it's like wisdom. It's like really cool. Like I think that we should like read them and then like give our opinions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Go for it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So, hi, I'm Ashlee.
I'm Helena.
And welcome back to another episode of Our Sweet Life.
Hi.
So, I'm going to start with the girls.
Yeah.
I'm going to go from the first one and then we can just like scroll through.
Okay, cool.
Someone says, do you still feel like a teenager even though you're a full-grown adult? I'm 25 this year and I still feel like a kid, but I have a house and kids.
That's literally me. Like,
I have a house and kids?
Well, not the kids, but it was so funny because when I sent everyone, all my friends, my Usher thing the other day, literally my best friend was like, you're a 14-year-old trapped in a 30-year-old's body. I was like, I'll take it. I was like,
Yeah.
sure.
I don't feel like you grow up unless you're sometimes I like who actually like gave me permission to run my
Yeah,
life.
always.
Like-
I'm like, I have my own house. This is probably not a good idea. Like, I need some parental guidance.
Yeah,
for
it
this.
feels like I need parental, and like when I'm with my parents or like my grandparents even, well, my grandma, I've only got grandma left, and I just still feel like I'm a child, and
Yeah.
they sometimes, especially my dad, still treats me like I'm a child.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, this pot looks like it's gonna boil over. All right, sir, I don't have to boil beans, you know, like what the hell?
That's so jokes.
Yeah, I feel like I don't think you ever really feel.
No.
Well, for me personally, I don't.
Maybe once
feel
you have
though.
kids, I don't know, but I feel like I'd still be doing like stupid stuff with my kids.
Oh, 100%.
So
Like-
I don't know when it ends.
Maybe that's when we would feel more adult-y though.
But I think our generation of millennial generation, that's what we're called, right? Millennials, yeah. I think our generation is that type. I think the generation before us are very adulty. Like they were like in their 30s and like carrying briefcases and like
Briefcase?
being
Who had a
very
briefcase?
serious. Yeah, like now we're just like should like get stuff in my tote bag. Like
Your sister is like how many years older than you? 5?
5, yeah.
Do you feel like she's much older, like as a person?
yeah.
Did you feel like that before she had kids though?
Is she a millennial?
No,
Class
I think
is.
she's like whatever came before us.
Gen X.
Boomer.
I don't know if she's a boomer.
What's a when is it? It's like boomer, Gen X, millennial.
I don't know. I'm going to look. But I think that she is, but I also think it's not necessarily like her age. I think it's more like how she was like brought up and how she grew up. But I think that like the generation above us, like our parents, so serious. They've always been serious. Everything's always been
Do
very
you think
serious.
like time, just like life timing was just
yeah.
more serious then?
Because they're all having kids when they're like 20.
Well, I'm trying to think. Like our parents weren't like kids of war.
No, my grandma was a child of war. Child of war. I don't know.
Wait, actually, I don't know because my granddad fought in the war, so my dad must have been a child of war. My granddad fought in the Second World War. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Maybe. So millennials are 1981 to 95. Gen Z's 96 to 2010. And then the Gen X is like 1980s plus.
So Gen X is what, boomer?
No, boomers is after that. Boomers
So wait,
is
what's your
90s.
sister? What's your sister?
She's be a millennial.
She's still a millennial.
Yeah.
No,
She is.
1989.
81. She's born 86.
Oh, 81.
Yeah,
Oh,
81
that's crazy.
to 95.
Oh,
Yeah.
mental. Okay.
But I feel like we have a complete different
Yeah.
perspective, millennials. Like we're just very like, I even see on TikTok a lot of trends, everyone's just very nonchalant. We're like, we're 30. Meh.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're like, meh, kids. Meh. Maybe
So-
we'll start taking it seriously like 20 years time.
Okay, someone said, will I ever stop worrying about how I look or how much I weigh? It feels consuming.
Is that 20-year-old? Mm-hmm. That's sad.
I feel for her, to be honest. But I think as a woman, no. I don't think
Really?
you're ever going to not be like, in my personal experience, I feel like I've gone through my life always thinking I need to be skinnier. And like they've spoken a lot about how like when we were young there was like a big push on this like being super skinny and stuff, and then it only kind of became like acceptable to be like plus size or like not super skinny or not a supermodel like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
and now
very
everyone's back on the
recently.
Ozempic train.
And it's
So-
also the fact that only now is like the advertising where people are like all different sizes. Whereas
Exactly.
before, like it wasn't like that at all. So probably growing up in the area we always saw that.
And I think it's crazy because I like look back now and like I'm a size 10 now. And then when I was like a size 8, I still thought I was fat. And when I was size
wild.
6, I still thought I was fat.
But don't you think you start caring less after 30? You're like, oh,
I do
okay.
care a little bit less, but I think now I do care genuinely a lot more about health.
Yeah.
Like I think it's more important to be healthy than it is to like and feel good. Like I feel good when I wake up and I eat to feel good because like I know it's good for me, not because necessarily I want to have like abs or something.
Yeah.
Like
But with social media, I think it's hard because like this is why I don't get how all these like 14, 50-year-olds are like coping these days, because all they see is like beautiful, like filtered people online all the time. Like look at like the Kardashians, like all of them are just like perfection online basically.
I think
So
it's
you're
interesting
seeing that all the time.
that the 180 that like I think like back when the Kardashians first started and they were kind of like they first had their surgery and it was first like BBLs and all that life. I feel like it was super big. I don't think right now people like I can honestly say like when BBL life first happened, I was like, oh my God, like BBL banging, curvy boobs, bum.
Really?
I
was
thought
never
it was
like that.
banging. Now I'm like, ew. And I think a lot of people are like, this is not it. Like having a thigh that's a twig and a bum that's like a boulder doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, it
you look
doesn't.
unproportioned.
It's more of an American thing, I feel like. I feel like in America it's
You
still
think?
very widely accepted. I don't, because even when I was in Atlanta, like I never saw so many fake bodies.
But remember when we were in
like,
Puerto Rico, we saw a lot. Not Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, we saw it a lot.
Yeah.
I went to a party for he's like a public figure, let's say. And it was his birthday party and everyone was British. And I never realized how many British girls have especially in the like entertainment industry, BBLs everywhere.
Yeah.
Every other girl had a BBL.
And it's really cheap.
Yeah.
This is why people do it. It's
Well,
so
people
cheap
are
to do.
risking their
It's
lives
like,
in Turkey.
yeah, they're like, why not for a couple grand? Like, who wants to go to the gym? Which is really weird.
So the point of the matter is no.
But
I
they don't
think.
know. They don't know the implications of it, like,
No.
and how. But I think now people are seeing like how like damaging and how dangerous it actually is. So they're probably kind of like.
I think it all boils down to like, if you don't fix what's on the inside, fixing what's on the outside isn't going to help. Like,
Pearls of wisdom.
like yes, if it's true though. Like if you genuinely don't feel good with how you look, you go pay 10 grand, get your body done, start getting attention from guys. That's not going to make you
There's still gonna
feel
be something else.
better.
Yeah.
It's going to it might be temporarily give you like a little bit of a high, but in the long run, you're still going to have all the trauma that you've not unpacked and all the self-worth that you don't have is still going to be there. And then
Look
I
for
think it's
other
cheaper
ways
to go to
fix it.
therapy, frankly.
Harder. Is it cheaper?
Cheaper, 100%. 10 grand worth of therapy, that's a couple of years.
Yeah.
Like, 10
You
grand
can be
on
up for 4K these days.
4 grand.
I know someone who had it on 4K.
That's actually cheap.
I mean, no, only because Abby yesterday was like to get me. I was like, that me.
Okay. Is it okay to not have a big, important job at 24? I work in a grocery store because I don't know what I want to do for a living.
I hate the fact that because me and my cousin Molly all the time have to go through this because I'm just like, you're in your 20s, like you're fine. I didn't have a clue what was going on in my 20s. I think I was making like $1,000 a month and I was like, I want to work in fashion. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on. I was like just about surviving. I was always poor. I didn't know what I was doing. Like,
I think that I saw a
fine.
really good video recently and it said when you watch Friends from season 1 to 10, like when they first start Friends, they're like 20, 21. They don't know what they're doing. They aren't married. They don't have any relationships. Like Ross is getting a really early divorce at like 23. Like half of them have never been married. None of them have had a long-term relationship. And then as the seasons go by, they progress and they progress. And it's not until the final season of Friends, when they are in their early to mid 30s, that any of them have their shit together.
Yeah,
and that's
that's
because
true.
like your 20s are not for you to have your shit together.
Yeah.
They're for you to learn and to grow. And if you wanted to change your career at 29, go for it.
yeah, those people do it.
Like, what's it called? J.K. Rowling became a millionaire at 40 or
Loads of
something.
people
Like,
only started at 40.
like people change their career paths every single day. If you worked in a grocery store for 20 years and then invented KFC, you could still be a millionaire before the end of your
I
life.
think there's just too much social media pressure. There's loads of these 20-year-olds now who like have everything, have the car, have the house, have a kid, like married, whatever it is. That people are like, oh, like maybe I should be doing that. So it's hard for them to like not
reflect on it.
have.
I do think though, like when I think back to when I was younger, I definitely didn't think like, when I was 19, I thought, oh yeah, I'm probably going to get like married in like 2 years and have kids. And like by the time I'm 25, I'll have a perfect house and a family. I thought like all of that stuff would happen. And then I think that because you have this idea in your head that all these things are going to happen so young, that then when they don't happen, it can kind of feel like, oh, so am I not doing things right?
Yeah. And it feels like 30 is the cutoff sometimes. A lot of people
30
think
is like the beginning.
Yeah, people are like, oh, like I need to do this by 30. I'm like...
30 is better than 20s.
Oh, 100%.
Like, you know what you want in life. You hopefully have done some healing and some growing.
Yeah.
You have way more money.
Yeah.
You can go after, you have probably more confidence to go after what you want. Like, I just think your 20s are to fuck around. Like, all those videos online that are like, stop fucking around at 20. Like, put all your investments in a 401k. Shut up.
We don't have 401k.
Shut up. Or whatever it is. Like, of course, like, be sensible with some money. Like, do some investing and stuff.
Like,
but
if
also
you can.
live your life.
Yeah, live. I think live
You
is
could
more
literally
important.
get hit by a bus at 23. Live your life. Like, don't just put your whole life into like living later.
I mean, I didn't do that.
No,
I was like, I'm gonna go to New York and work, and I was like hating life there, but I was like, this is great.
Yeah, like have life experiences. Like I never really understand when people are like, I want to have a child at 19, and obviously like if that's your bag, like no offense to you, but like I just can't imagine having a child and not having some life experience to give that child, to talk to that child.
But some people
about.
do it the other way around, don't they? They like have a kid and then they go and do the life stuff.
What, with the kid?
Well, no, the kid's like older.
But I don't want to. What I'm saying is like, don't wait. Like life is the one thing that is going by. No matter what you do, life is going to keep going. Everything's going to keep ticking. And like, if you wait, you may never get that opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, I just think that's not the best. How do you forgive yourself? That's a hard one.
That is hard. For what though, or just in general?
I think in general, yeah.
I mean, there's different ways. I think obviously, like some people do need like that, like therapy to actually delve deep down to know all that. Which I don't think I would have got to a place where I was without that.
Same,
but there's a
I
lot
agree.
of books that help, I guess, as well.
I remember that I was having a conversation with my therapist, and she was just asking me, like, I think we got onto the topic of like my first ever long-term relationship, and there's something I said in it, and she said, wow, that sounds like really harsh. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, what you're saying is so harsh about your younger self. Like you're talking about yourself when you were like 20. Like, do you not want to give yourself some grace for like that period of life? It doesn't sound like you forgive yourself. Like, it sounds like you're judging yourself. And it wasn't until that moment that I realized like I still held like all these emotions about the things that I had done as a child, like a child and a teenager and an adult. And she made me write this like letter to myself. It was really emotional, actually. I didn't expect it to be. And like I wrote a letter to myself, forgiving myself for allowing myself to be treated badly by my ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
And I think like sometimes you have to just give yourself grace, and like and sometimes like exercises like writing it down.
Yeah, the shadow work.
Yeah, shadow work, vocalizing like that you forgive yourself is way more powerful than I think we realize.
Yeah. Or just doing little rituals like the gratitude or like whatever it is, just like finding little moments I think help a lot. You don't have to specifically do like anything major, but just like, yeah, definitely the grace thing, being kinder. I did the work where it was kind of like you look at yourself or like a version of yourself as like a best friend and think like, how would you like talk to like your best friend? What would you like tell your best friend? That kind of thing. And you would never like talk to them in a way where it was like, oh, like don't be kind to yourself or whatever it is. You would talk to them in like a nice way and like compassionate. So that's the way that you would like speak to yourself. So that's kind of nice.
That's a really nice way to think about it. Marry for love or money.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know either,
I'm on the fence, you know.
Yeah.
Love ain't enough.
Yeah.
I don't think I need to marry like a millionaire.
No.
I mean, my boyfriend's not a millionaire, but I think that for me, I think the biggest thing is knowing that you're not going to settle for like nothing. Like, I'm not going to come home and my boyfriend's going to be like, I got fired, but I'm just going to sit around on the sofa and get benefits.
Yeah,
like, that's just not my portion. Like, I need someone who's like thriving for more, striving for more.
Yeah, a little bit ambitious.
100%. So it's
and
like
there's a lot
bit
of
both.
I think it's also like men do use, like, not trying to generalize, but like some men do use women. Like, you know, have you seen those stories of men on dates on Hinge and they want to like go to a house and like bring all their stuff and like move in like the first date? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
can't have someone like that who like is literally homeless
100.
and like wants to move in on the first date. So
Yeah.
you have to protect yourself.
I think like if we think about the dawn of time, like women have been marrying for money. Marriage is technically like always been a business agreement. Like marriage was like never, it was only love like in the 21st century, like when we started romanticizing marriage. Like back in the day, your parents would be like, we've got a good family, you've got a good family, you take my daughter, you take my son.
Yeah.
Like, and it wouldn't be about all this like, oh, I'm so in love, like stuff. Like it would be like, this is a good union for like you as people.
Yeah.
And then, do you know what I mean? Like I feel like anyone can fall in love, like, but can you withstand a marriage is a totally different question.
Yeah.
Like, can you work on it? Can you communicate? Like, can you pay my bills? Can you pay my telephone bills? Is the question, you know?
A lot of them can't.
So, money.
Well, no, I'm not
50-50.
saying money. It's a hard one, but some people go through like multiple marriages and one of them is so they're like, this one's for money. I'm like, fair.
Yeah. My grandma's been married 3 times.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
And Pamela, she's gonna live.
And you don't want to get to the end and be poor.
Get to the end and be poor.
You also don't want to get to the end and be lonely. So would you rather be lonely or poor? Exactly.
Wait, why am I lonely or poor? Like, why is it only 2 bad
I don't know,
things?
'cause it's just the opposite.
Okay, these ones are from the guys thread, and it says, I'm 26 and I'm about to start uni again. I don't know how I feel about being in a class with only 18-year-olds.
That's how my friend did this because she went to uni like last year or the year before, and it was literally full of like, well, I think it was a different course, so there was a few older people, but there's always older people at uni, isn't
I
there?
had older people in my class at uni.
Yeah, she had a lot of 18-year-olds, but then there was also older people. But yeah, 18. I don't know.
I had a
it's
couple
weird.
people with like families and kids at home.
Really?
Yeah, in my class. So we were quite a small, I went to an art school and like each university form was only 30 people. So it's very small for university. And yeah, we had like 2 or 3 people who were like kids and stuff.
Were you friends with them?
Genevieve, not really.
But then when you go into an office, start working in an office, you have like your best friends
That's
of like
true.
Pam, who's like 65.
Yeah, that's so true. I didn't think
So,
about
like,
that.
I used to have a lot of friends from work who were like
Yeah.
50, 2 kids. Like,
Yeah.
you're cool with everyone.
Yeah, true. Don't think it's that deep. I think like, especially at 26, you're not like that old. Like you're still young in your prime of life, like so many opportunities. And I think I have a lot of respect for people who are like, cool, my career's not working, I'm gonna go back to school. Like I think that speaks volumes.
And
much.
people do that at 40, 50,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter.
And also, if you don't like the 18-year-olds, just get in, get your work done, get out, man.
Yeah, you
Like,
don't have to be friends
You don't
with
have to
everyone.
be friends with these people.
You don't, no.
So, do you ever heal, from childhood trauma? 26 here and struggling.
Oh my God, I remember with my therapist, when I first started, I was like, right, when's healing gonna end then? Like, when are we getting to the end of this? Like, I was like, how long we got here? Like,
And the answer is never.
yeah, she was just like, huh? I was like, yeah, no. You're always doing the work, aren't you, really?
I think the problem is that like we are ever growing and changing people. So like you could heal from the trauma from when you were 5, but then lo and behold, this year I'm triggered by when I was 7. You know, like there's something in your life that you may still be growing from. But I think like sometimes I feel like it's less so like the individual traumas that you need to heal from, and more so like just working on your like self-worth and self-value, because like when you can kind of get those things intact, you can then start to rationalize your other traumas.
And how you handle things. Because I've had a lot of things last year that have like triggered me where it's been a similar situation that's happened a few years ago, but I've dealt with it completely differently, or I've like got over it very quickly rather than before where you'd be like in bed for a week because like you're just changing your approach to the situation. So it's also that like you may not be fully healed from something, but like it will get easier and it will get like your approach will be different to how you deal with it, I think.
Because you get more self-aware.
Yeah.
I think because like when you want to be self-aware and you want to heal, you start to notice your own behaviors and your own things and your own triggers, and then you can kind of react differently, like you said. And I think that comes from therapy.
But I think
healing.
we're all saying that, like we've got help through it.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes if you don't have the help, like where do you go from there?
I think like if you don't like, for instance, let's just say like, for instance, therapy is not an option. Maybe it's like too expensive. It's not available for whatever reason. I think like there are a lot of free resources online. Like go on YouTube. Like there's healing videos. There's like journaling prompts. Like start writing down how you feel. Like there's books on things like this. Like that are a much cheaper version of therapy. And they can really help you. Like I think if you want to heal and you want to grow, you are capable. You just need to surround yourself with the right things. Like there's podcasts on this sort of stuff. Like there are other ways that if you're not comfortable or for whatever reason don't want to do therapy, that you can do it yourself. You can do this yourself. Yeah. I think it's not. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but even sitting down and talking to someone every week, that's not easy either. Yeah. Like that is the hard work. You have to be kind of willing to put yourself through the struggle to come out the other end.
And doing it on your own is probably even harder because you actually have to like sit there and dedicate that time to like doing uncomfortable things.
Like I think, but and like I found like when I started therapy and I started really thinking about things like now, like when I feel like you said, like when I feel triggered or something, I will just sit down and write down like what I'm feeling in that moment, and sometimes I don't need to talk to my therapist about it after because I can identify after I've read it a few times like what is the trigger, like what is the problem here. So like you can get to a point where you're on your own, you can self-soothe and you can rationalize, and it does really help. Mo Gadat's a good person to listen to actually. If you want to think about this, he did a challenge like 100 days of happy or something, and it was like basically him trying to like cure his clinical depression basically. It's very interesting. You should look into it if you're looking for therapy. Okay, this is another trauma one, but does trauma from a man ever go away?
Is this a woman asking this?
Yes, a woman asking it on the men's feed.
It's like a grief. This is what I learned last year because I was like, oh, like everything's gonna go away, be fine. But then you realize like it's actually a form of grief, and it's like a hard thing to take because grief you think is like very serious, like someone dying or something like that. But then grief can be in like any like losing a friend, losing a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is. It can also be in like those like smaller things as well. So it's like it doesn't go away. Like it's like losing someone who's died. Like it's still hard, but then you like carry on every day, like. And move on from it in some type of way. So like I don't know, it's hard because like I guess certain things like don't really go, but they don't affect you in day-to-day life anymore.
I think like this is probably more true to grief, but it kind of like counts with this as well. They say like grief never goes away, but you learn how to build around it. Yeah. So it's kind of the same with trauma. Like you learn how to live your life around that thing that's always there. Yeah. So like it's never not going to be there, but you won't think about it every day. Yeah, you know. Exactly, yeah. So yeah, like the pain relieves.
I think as long as it's not like oppressed as well, suppressed.
Yeah, suppressed.
So yeah, as long as you're not like sweeping it under the rug, you're like acknowledging. I think that something's there, and kind of trying to move forward. Moving forward.
I mean, so right underneath that, someone said, "Will I ever get over the loss of love? My mum passed away 4 years ago, and it still feels like yesterday."
A lot of love losses and hurts, isn't there? In the world?
I feel like that's what people feel like their 20s are like. I saw something recently saying like your prefrontal cortex,
prefrontal cortex, my girl Mel,
is not completely developed until you're 25, which means every emotion you think and you feel, but from the age of like up to 25, basically, or maybe a little older or a little younger, depending on you. Feels 10 times more intense. So if you feel heartbreak at 22, that feels more intense than a heartbreak at 30.
I disagree.
That's the theory.
Oh, really?
That's the science.
I don't think that's right.
I don't know.
I think it depends.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know whether it becomes with like life experiences and like feeling things over and over again, but like I think if I think back to like my first, like they're talking about this in terms of like grief, like loss, like her mum has passed away. And I think like grief is just like a whole new ball game. I can't even lie. But like when it comes to like a relationship, I think when I was 21 and my boyfriend broke up with me, I thought my life was over. Like I physically felt the pain in my chest. Like I felt like I was going to die.
Yeah, but have you had a breakup in your 30s?
I have not.
So it may be worse.
But I don't think the way that I'd handle that breakup would be so different, because I think that like back then I would have blamed myself. Even if my boyfriend had cheated on me, even if he had done all this bullshit, it would have been my fault. I would have found a way to blame myself. But now when I look at myself, if my boyfriend tomorrow said, I don't want to be with you anymore, I would be of course I'd be sad and I'd cry and I'd be hurt, but I'd be able to walk away from that situation and say, if you don't think that you need me in your life, I don't want to be here. And I'm happy to not be here because I know that someone out there will value me for who I am. So I can hold my head up high and walk away and said, I did what I needed to do in this relationship. I don't think I could have done that at 21. And I think that would have been the massive difference. The hurt would still hurt, but because I have that value for myself, I just don't think I'd react the same.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't agree.
You still think you'd be sleeping, crying in the bed?
Yeah. I think it just depends on like the person, the relationship, whatever it was. Like I know someone at the moment who's going through it, and they weren't even in a relationship with that person, and they said to me that this hurts more than their relationship in their 20s. They're more hurt now.
But do you think that person has that self-worth and self-value?
Yeah, I think they do. They're very self-aware, yeah.
Really?
But I do think that it just depends on like the situation, how you feel. Like I don't think it matters really about 20s or 30s, like what age you are. It can still hurt the same, if not more.
No, I don't think not that it wouldn't hurt, but I'm saying I think that I have more rationale behind my actions now, and I could walk away and say, I know, basically I'm saying I know I won't die. I've lived it before. I've done it before. I know that I can get out the other side, and that knowing that you can get out the other side changes it.
I don't know. I think my breakup at 17, my breakup at 29, same. Like, same. Like, thought I was going to die.
So apparently, no, it won't change.
No, yeah,
apparently, it won't change.
It hurts your whole
What
life.
about in terms of grief? Do you think that goes away? Because I think we've both had quite a lot of grief in our life, actually. For people, girls who are like in their early 20s, we've both had like quite a lot of loss throughout our lives.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think this is what we said before. Like, it gets easier to manage, doesn't it? It doesn't go away, but you just you build around it. So, yeah, it's not something that gets easier. You just deal with it more. Deal with it better. And also, I think as you get older, you know that life has to go on because you're like, I've got to get up and go to work tomorrow. Like when you're like 16 and you have a loss or something, like you can kind of wallow in that a little bit. But like when you're like 30 and you're like, I've got to go to the office tomorrow. Like work aren't giving me time off. Like you still have to get up and be sad and do what you got to do. If you've ever been sad at work, or like your boyfriend's like pissed you off, you're having a breakup and you're at work. Oh, it's the worst.
Awful.
I remember one time I left. I was like, I can't be here.
Yeah, I was like, I lied. I think this was back when I was like a very early breakup. I was still working in Sainsbury's, so I must have been like uni. And I think I was at work and I was like bawling. And I just told my manager that I was sick. I was like, I'm so much pain. I'm so sick. These times my boyfriend had dumped me. I was like crying about it.
I got cheated on, and this girl like slid in my DMs, and I was at work and I was like, I can't. I was like, I have to go. And I basically told, like, we're quite a small company, this PR company I work for, and we'd like, the girls knew, and I like told my manager. I was living with him at the time, so she then invited me to move in with her. Yeah, this is so crazy. Every time I talk to the girls about this, I'm like, can you believe that like this manager actually, like, she's like, it's fine, chicken, come and live. She literally used to call everyone chicken. It's fine, just come and live with me.
Did you go and live with her?
No. I was like, this is going to be so weird. Like, she's like, I've got a spare room. You should come to mine.
I mean, it's not a bad plan.
I was like, absolutely not. This is so weird. We're going to go to work together in the morning. Like, no. I mean, yeah, she did invite me to live with her, but I was like, I'm good, thanks.
Oh my God, that's
I got
wild.
this. Yeah, being sad at work is not it. Definitely not.
Okay. How do you handle being afraid of not finding love? I think we're very equipped to answer that. Actually,
Yeah.
I mean, I was single for like 5 years.
Get yourself a book called Single on Purpose. No, I'm joking. I haven't even finished that, so I don't know. But yeah, you just feel okay with being on your own.
Do you think you've ever felt afraid?
Yeah,
Since
you
you've been
get times
single?
for sure.
Yeah.
You do. I think it's natural, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
But I'm just not one of those people that like dwells in that. I'm just not like, I'm going to, and also the rational thinking as well. You're like, I'm not going to be alone forever. There's going to be somebody.
I think like when people say, and I know it's so cliche, like work on yourself and everything else will fall into place. I genuinely think that's couldn't be it's just so true. Like when you're so busy working on yourself, working on your career, working on your mental health, working on your fitness, whatever it is, you forget.
Yeah.
And you fill your life. I filled my life in the time that I was single with love from my family and my friends, and it felt like my life was so full of love and overflowing with these things that, of course, as you said, like, don't get twisted, there were days when I was like, fuck, I'm just gonna be like forever alone. Like I remember that time do you remember the time I watched that video about the lady who died on her own? I just started crying. Like, she died alone in her house and no one found her. And I was like, that's gonna be me. Like, but then like obviously you have your moments, but my life just felt so rich before I had a boyfriend that when I finally got a boyfriend, it was kind of like, okay, like this is an extra.
Yeah.
Because I've worked on my other relationships and I've worked on the love I have for myself. So
and being codependent on that, I think is really bad because that's how then you settle for like anyone and anything who's going to show you like a little tiny piece of something and you're like, oh, this person like loves me, like this is me, which is not good.
100%. And we've seen it with other people as well, like friends that we have, like they want love so badly they're willing to settle for anything. And I think that is the biggest mistake you can make. I would much rather be alone and not have a boyfriend, not ever get married, than be in a relationship and be with someone who I am unhappy with.
There's a lot of this on TikTok at the moment. Like, I don't know, my For You page, a lot of these things of females just being like, I'm 40, things I regret, or like just anything of like, just like don't be with someone, just like be alone, learn to be alone, like love being alone, like forget any of that.
Well, I feel like my first like long-term relationship, 17 to 22, I was unhappy probably 80% of that relationship.
Yeah, same.
And I stayed in that relationship because I was convinced, mainly by him to be honest, that I would probably no one else was going to love me. So I needed to stay in that relationship. And I think that it not only like destroys your own value for yourself, like, but it's just a miserable place to be, like living in a relationship just for the misery, like waking up every day knowing, oh, probably gonna have an argument, he's probably gonna make me feel like shit again, and then you got to spend like another 5 years getting over that trauma. Long.
They say half the time it takes to get over it than it does that you were in the relationship. I think it's very true.
Facts.
Because literally it hit that point for me and I was like, ding. Okay, like, and I was like, wow, this analogy is actually true.
Yeah,
it is half the time.
So like, remember that when you're like 3 years deep in a relationship that you don't like, get out now because you've got a year and a half to get better. It's a long road ahead.
It is.
But yeah, I think it's better to, like I said, better to be alone and happy than in a relationship hating life.
Get a dog.
I don't know.
Or a cat.
I don't know. I don't like cats.
A pet or something.
I don't mind a fish.
Be alone then.
I'm 35, soon to be divorced. Wife cheated. Broke me in every way possible. Aww. Always put yourself back together first. You are the most important thing.
I don't know why, but I feel like women cheating on men is so much worse. Like I feel really like bad for the guy. I know, but like, come on. I think because I've had friends who have been cheated on, like male friends, and I'm always just like.
I think that comes from like the like societal like expectation that like men will cheat, so like women kind of should just like lump it. But also I think that because men are like a lot of the time kind of just like so into like what's going on, like when they really like a girl, if she cheats, I think that they don't come back from it.
They
very
don't
well.
No,
like. And I think that's what makes it a little bit sadder.
Yeah.
Like when you see a guy cry, you're like, damn. You know, when you see a girl,
just like,
which is awful. Which is awful to say. But I think we're so desensitized to ourselves that it's just like. But I mean, if anyone cries in front of me, I'll probably cry. So I'm like a crybaby. So.
Yeah, that's a toughie.
Put yourself. I think but I think putting yourself first. Like it's like they say you can't take care of your family if you can't take care of yourself. Like you need to. You should be the center of your universe, and then everything else after. Like I can't take care of kids or a husband or anything if I'm not taking care of myself. So
sad. Don't let it consume you. Some of my friends as well that it's happened to, like they just like become like woman haters, and I'm just like, no. It's easy to do that. But then I guess the other way around as well, like women get cheated on, become man haters. So
I mean, I definitely had a man hating phase.
Yeah.
I still don't really love them
but
now.
Then I think it's because I've got a lot of like male friends who are great. So I will never be 100% man hater. Well, yeah, they're great to me.
Yeah, but are they great to their girlfriends?
Yeah, a lot of them are, to be fair. But I'm not there to judge them whether they're good at their relationships or not. Like I'm there for me. You could be doing whatever you want. But no, like my male friends, who they are as people, like they're not going to be.
The thing is, I say that because I have like some really great male friends. But when I've seen them in relationships and even like having conversations with them about their relationships, until like they hit 30, they were awful.
Really?
Yeah, so bad.
Oh, wow.
Like they would openly talk about how they cheated on their girlfriends and stuff. Like, and I think it's quite normal amongst men in their like 20s. Like, I'm not generalizing, but like in our generation, like a lot of my male friends have treated their girlfriends like crap.
I'd be sending anonymous letters if I was you.
Like, it's not, well, the thing is like, it's not my business to tell, but like obviously I tell them about themselves. I'm like, you're a dog, like you're awful. And like a lot of them have changed now, like they're in their 30s, they're getting in serious relationships, but like that's why I'm like, well, that's why I'm like, it's possible for me to say I hate men and go for a I hate men phase, because I've genuinely seen the locker room.
Yeah.
I've been, like, I used to go to Nando's every Friday with a group of my friends. We used to call it Nando's Fridays, and it was like 7 guys and like 5 girls. We used to go every Friday when we were in uni, like everyone's broke, just get Nando's, talk. Some of the things that these guys would say about girls, awful. So and because we were just the girls, like kind of treating us as like the guys, they kind of talked very candidly, and it wasn't pretty. So that's why I'm like, I do believe that guys are capable of these things because I've seen it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, they might be nice friends to me, but not necessarily their girlfriends.
Yeah.
Should I save my money or enjoy every moment of life?
Splash the cash.
Splash that cash, honey.
No. Well, to be fair, in my 20s, I did splash. I did whatever I want. I bought whatever I want, and I was left with 0 at the end of the month, and I was like, get paid again next month.
Living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, same.
I was like, I remember at university, I was like, go to New York for a week. Like, me and my friend were like, bye. Like, with our student loan, we were like, we didn't care.
I went to LA for 4 days, and then I went to Vegas for 4 days when I was 25. How the hell I afforded this? I don't know. And we lived life. But I think
experiences.
I think you need to have a life of experiences, like we said. Like, you need to have a bit of both.
And get it all out your system in your 20s, because in your 30s, you're going to be tired, so...
Also, you can be responsible and do that.
Yeah.
You can save 10% of your paycheck and spend 10% of your paycheck or whatever, like, percentage you have after your bills and shit.
Yeah. You
can do 50-50 of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you ever get over your first love?
Yes. What kind of question? I hate this because I feel like, do you know what? No, I love this question because I feel like everyone seems to think that like this is a thing. And especially for me, because I'm still mutual friends with said first loves friends. And people always think there's like a soft spot. And I'm like, there's not. Like, yeah, he's cool, whatever. Like, I'm sorry, there's not.
You're like, in the bin.
No, it's not even in the bin, but it's just like people make it a thing where they're like, oh, but you know, first love. And you're like, no, I'm fine. Like,
I think
I don't care.
I also think that when
so
you
weird.
are that age, like how old were you when you had your first love?
17.
I think that when I look back at the same age and that relationship, I'm like, was I even in love?
Exactly. That as well.
Like, was I even
back
in love?
Now, I'm like, that was nothing.
Like, no, but this is the thing. Like I said, it's like the devastation that I felt when that relationship ended too. But now I'm like, was I even in love with you, or did I just think I was? And that's why I was like, was my emotions just heightened because this was a feeling I had never had before?
Yeah.
So like, although it hurt, did it?
Yeah. I said, so one of our mutual friends, like a few months ago, I literally said exactly the words in describing the situation. I was like, yeah, but it wasn't that deep. And he was like, wasn't it though?
At the time.
And I was like, exactly. I was like, at the time, yes, I was devastated. And like, all of you guys saw it. But like now I'm like, And they're like, it was that deep. I'm like, it wasn't. Like now, I swear to you, it wasn't. Like, no offense. Like we had a good run. But like, well, we had an okay run. But like, yeah, I'm sorry. It just wasn't that considerable. It just wasn't. I'm sorry. It wasn't that deep.
No.
Was yours? Was it that deep?
Now I'm like, what the hell was I doing?
I think for him, it was deeper than for me.
Oh, I still think it was deep for him.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, just from the liaison I've had since.
Vernacular.
He does not have the vernacular to get me back.
Yeah, no.
Like, no, it wasn't. Why was I even in that relationship?
Sorry. That's jokes.
Okay, regarding dating, should I wait to have established myself financially or date broke? Because modern dating standards are high, but I crave love and affection so badly.
Is this a man?
Yeah.
It sounds like one of my friends would say this, actually. Oh, because I was literally saying this yesterday because one of my friends sent me a thing where this guy had asked her back for £4.50 for this tzatziki that she ordered. Yeah. So basically, I was like,
what?
Yeah, if you don't have the cash, why are you dating? I'm sorry.
No, I agree.
I just don't think it is hard to date these
or
days.
just don't go on a date with someone to somewhere that's not gonna have £4.50
a
tzatziki.
coffee.
Go for coffee. Go for a walk in the park. Summertime, make a picnic. Like you can do cute things on a budget.
Use your initiative.
Like it doesn't necessarily have to be like Hakkasan. And if the girl that you're dating wants you to go to Hakkasan and you can't afford Hakkasan, then she's not for you.
Exactly. I
like
agree.
date within your like
means
tax bracket.
And please don't be asking for money back afterwards. Please.
Awful. Like
it's not good.
When you hear about these guys, they're like sending Venmo requests.
He asked
Get
her.
outta here, man.
He said, "Oh, so actually, yeah, they did charge you tzatziki. Do you mind covering that?"
Did he pay for the bill? Or did they go halves?
He paid for the bill. And then basically afterwards, she basically was like, "Oh, I'm not into you." And then, like, in a nice way, she was like, "I'll just let you know, like, I don't
And
think,
that's why he asked for $4.50. That's petty, man.
Yeah.
Grow up. $4.50 tzatziki. Get a grip. What the hell?
And he's like 27.
Awful.
Yeah, it's
Awful.
not
That's
good.
petty, man. Petty what?
Good.
Like,
it's not good. It's not good.
What the hell?
Yeah.
I've never been asked. I've only ever been asked to split the bill once.
I don't think I ever have.
And I didn't go on a second
I'm not
date.
going to do that in this day and age. I'm sorry.
I was shocked. Actually, do you know what happened once?
Especially if they're asking you out. I don't think that's fair.
There was a guy who, I wouldn't say I was dating him. I would say like we talked and stuff. And when I went to Singapore, he lived there. I was traveling. And when we were there, he like took me out for a few dinners, whatever. When he came to London, he was like, oh, like, let's link up. I was like, cool, went for dinner. We're at the dinner. He's asking me like, oh, like, how have I been? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, good. Bear in mind, like, before we got to this dinner, like, I had said I didn't really want to go to dinner. I wasn't hungry. And he was like, no, I'm really, really hungry. And I was like, I'm not hungry. I ate before I like saw you. Like, let's go for a drink. And he's like, no, I want to go for dinner. Cool, go for dinner. I think I ordered a salad. He got this massive steak. Then as the dinner proceeds, he asked me like how's things been. I was like, oh yeah, I've got a boyfriend now. Like I'm really like into this guy. This is like a couple years back. I was probably like 26. And then he was like, oh, okay, cool. Then he goes, so that means I can't kiss you. I was like, these times we've never kissed. I was confused. So I was like, no. And I was like, okay. And then he was like, cool. So he went to the toilet, came back and goes, you got this bill, yeah? I was like, shit.
What? You'll have to pay for the steak?
Yeah, I had to pay for the bill.
I'd be like, my salad was £5.25. Here you go.
Well, I felt bad because like at the time we'd gone out loads of times and he'd always paid. So I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to take this out. In hindsight, I should have said, absolutely not. You can pay for your steak, mate. But because he did it. And then later he texted me and said, yeah, I did that because like I was pissed that you had a boyfriend. Block.
Men and their stupid egos.
Like ridiculous behavior. But yeah, if you can't date within your tax bracket or just don't date at all. But you don't need to be.
Or just use your initiative to do something cute that doesn't cost thousands of pounds.
Yeah, but like, yeah, but the thing is, it's like, it's true. Like certain girls do have high standards. Certain guys have high standards too. I think if your value is in whether a guy takes you to Hakkasan or Nando's, then don't date the girl that needs to go to Hakkasan. Date a girl that's happy to go to Nando's. If that's what's in your tax bracket, just stick to that.
Yeah.
Like, I just think people like to live beyond their means. Don't live beyond your means. You will regret it.
Because men will spend like thousands a month on
Men
dates.
go into debt for
Crazy.
girls.
It's not worth it.
No, that steak I paid for £50 wasn't worth it.
Yeah,
either.
like I will even tell a man, like, don't bother.
Like, no. Just don't do it to yourself.
Yeah.
But no, you don't need to wait to find love though.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we got time for today. This is a good one.
Juicy.
Juicy gossip. Maybe we'll circle back.
We did part 2.
We can do a part 2
next
next time. So thanks for joining us.
Peace.
Bye.